I think my first goal was to feed my family, but we understood that we were onto something really big, something that could take local raw materials, create jobs, create a high-value product that could have all kinds of benefits for America and for the world. At that point, we started talking about changing the world.
We've been farming here about 150 years. It would be my great-grandfather that came here, and his father. They came over here back in about 56 or 54, someplace in there.
We worked hard. We worked 7 days a week, and we were all involved. So from a very young age, we were hard workers and creative workers and always trying to figure out a better way to farm.
Dad was very much a tinkerer and interested in doing things new and doing things well. He was very conservation-minded when it came to farming.
I remember for years where there was so darn much corn in the country, the government was paying us to leave our land lay idle. And I thought that was a terrible waste. And if we could make ethanol out of this land that nothing was being used for, why not make use of it?
I think some of the neighbors thought we were a little crazy to build an ethanol plant on the farm, and they didn't expect it to succeed, no question. But you know, we just kept plugging along and then just solved the process problems one at a time until the plant ran efficiently.
I didn't really tell people I was going to do it. We just went ahead and did it. But when they found out what we were doing, they thought we were crazy. Everybody thought we were crazy. But that's what we do. We do crazy things, I guess. We went out to Scotland just to buy parts, but then the whole plant went so cheap. The plant and everything and the land and everything went so cheap. I think we paid $60,000 for it.
My brother and father and I talked, and they said, well, Jeff, would you like to move out there and run it? I was 22 years old, and I didn't have anything to lose. So I drove into Scotland in the middle of an ice storm, and I thought, wow, what did I get myself into? There was a very nice two-story office system in the plant, so I literally moved into the plant, made the lab, which had cupboards in it, my kitchen, made the boardroom my living room, and I slept in the manager's office. We cut holes in the walls, fixed everything up, repatched everything, and started figuring out what we needed to do to make the plant viable. My father, my two brothers, and myself were partners in the business. My wife was helping out as a secretary in the office. So it definitely was a family business and would be that way for many years.
Jeff had a drive to keep moving forward just whenever he saw an opportunity or a challenge. He took it on.
Pretty soon corn was coming in from miles around. This was good for ag. They had the ability to think strategically about economics. I believe in my black heart, if they were working with big stones, they would have made the first wheel.
Jeff Broin walked into my office and first introduced himself to me and wanted to talk about financing of Broin Enterprises. From the very get-go, his self-confidence was there, and he made it very obvious to me from that first meeting. He said, I'm here to borrow money on a plant and an industry that's in its infancy, but probably has, and I think, a lot of potential. The board unanimously made the decision to finance Broin Enterprises, and Broin Enterprises never looked back.
We started expanding the Scotland plant 2 years after I arrived in Scotland, and we've almost never quit ever since.
I remember Jeff coming into my office door and standing there going, just think, Deb, in a couple years, maybe even next year, we're going to be flying all over the country to be starting up ethanol plants. That to me seemed so far-fetched, but yet in about 1 year later, we were actually doing that. So.
We'd been operating the Scotland plant for a couple of years, and we're in the middle of expansion. When someone came to us and said, hey, you guys are operating a successful plant here. How would you like to build us one like this? And having no resources to do that and no employees to do that, I said, sure, we'd be happy to build you an ethanol plant just like this.
The best thing that can happen to a small community in South Dakota is to find out that Poet is going to come in and put an ethanol plant in, because it immediately generates a lot of economic activity. And in many cases, that's a lifeline to smaller communities who are looking for ways to keep people in their communities, to attract families, and make it a place where people want to live and grow and raise their families and work.
In the beginning, it took us about 14 months to build a plant. With some changes in the way we engineered them, we were able to actually build plants in 12 months, which was far better than our competition, and we were building actually a higher quality plant.
Jeff used this expression all the time, let's do fun things and change the world for the better. On trips, on a plane ride, he'd talk about changing the world, empowering employees to do what they needed to do to get the job done. Those were very exciting times to see that vision and that passion expressed in those terms to change the world for the better.
We grew up in the business with our last name on the company, and it became obvious that it was time to take that name off the business. The company was no longer about just my passion. It was about the passion of our team members and their drive to succeed.
Before I came to Poet as a team member, I was an owner of a local marketing firm, and we were hired by, at the time, the brewing companies to develop the new name and brand for the company. We wanted to create something that was memorable, something that was short, and something that was really evocative.
I remember being in the first meeting down in the basement, and they come in and they pitch 6 names. And the first 5 were okay. And they flipped this 6th card over, and the name and the brand, as you see it today, was Poet.
And it kind of went over at that time like a lead balloon.
Jeff looked at me and said, huh, interesting. And so we told them to go back to the drawing board. I think all the while that process was going on, Poet just kept percolating in the back of Jeff's mind.
I really credit Jeff for embracing it, because it took, I think, a lot more courage to select the name Poet than it took creativity to develop the name Poet.
Changing the name to Poet really brought us above the radar, not just in the States, but worldwide.
People look to us for leadership in policy, in technology, collaborations. We are a global leader in all these different areas, and our opinion matters.
I always say you need to lead, follow, or get out of the way. No one was stepping up to really take a leadership role to drive this industry. There being a void there, Poet stepped up and took on the responsibility.
Growth Energy was started in 2008 by Jeff Broin. There was this real void. The industry did not have a strong voice in Washington, D.C. that could fight for the needs of the industry and do so smartly in a very intense political environment.
There's just constant battles around energy and where the country is going to go. We have fought to stay alive and without question survived some very difficult times in the legislature.
From a political standpoint, whether that's the right or left side of the aisle, we've got to be able to convince both sides. And the great thing about bioethanol today is we have a solution for everybody. POET can bring that entire story together and make sustainability non-political and just practical.
What we do here is not complicated. Sustainability does not have to be complicated. Unfortunately, across this country, it's become a hot button issue that has gotten so complex. Getting our nation and further our world to a place of being able to live in sync with nature. That's what we work for every day.
For the last 150 years, we've taken about 50 million years of fossil fuel, taken it out of the earth and blown it into the environment. Consequently, we're a bit out of sync. What POET wants to see happen is to return to the surface of the earth. We return to agriculture. We return to the land God gave us and the sun, the soil, and the seed.
I strongly believe that POET has led the way in showing the world that agricultural resources can be used in so many more ways to not just feed animals, but to fuel our cars, to produce industrial products that we need to live on a daily basis. We've shown that you can do it not only in concept, but you can do it at large scale. We have essentially created an agricultural renaissance.
We look out into the future farther than most. We're looking out 5 to 10 years, where others are maybe looking out 6 months to 1 year. We think bigger, and we make big bets on those thoughts, and I think that's led to a lot of our success. The Flint Hills acquisition in 2021 was unique. We had never purchased a large company and brought on a couple hundred team members. It was an exciting time, and I think it allowed us to learn how to integrate people into our company and make them feel like part of the team. And we combined these two companies in a short period of time.
It grew the company by 40%, and we became, the undisputed leader in the industry at 3 billion gallons.
We went on this trip when I was 15 years old. We went and helped fix up a deaf school, and we spent time in Africa.
While we were over there, we made a lot of stops going to and from our work site every day, and my dad would often make us pull the van over so we could get out and look at the crops. And he was pretty shocked and saddened by what he saw. It was nearly harvest time, and we were seeing knee-high stalks of corn, with ears that were half the size of what we see here.
Realizing that and making some phone calls and trying to understand Kenyan agriculture a little bit better, Seeds of Change was born.
We have 3 core missions, primarily in Africa. We have Mission Hope, which is our educational initiative. We also have Mission Grow, which is our agricultural initiative. And so through Mission Grow, we're working with farmers to revolutionize agriculture in these rural parts of Africa. And then lastly, we have Mission Thrive, which is our human health and environmental initiative to implement programs for health and wellness.
I think I'm most proud of the more than 3 million lives that agriculture has impacted so far in Africa. That's just the tip of the iceberg. We can get to tens of millions over time. So to watch the entire economy of an area transform because we're using the sun, the soil, and the seed to enrich people, and then that goes out into their economy and drives the small towns and the cities, that's really exciting to me. In addition to Seeds of Change, we fund dozens and dozens of different charity functions here in town. We fund things throughout the country as well. We fund scholarship programs. We have really tried to give back, even in the communities where our plants are located.
We've been so blessed to come alongside these communities in an economic way. To also come alongside them and be able to steward dollars back into these communities that lift up these communities is absolutely everything.
It's something that we all, I think, have a passion to give back to other people. God has blessed us in so many ways, so it's kind of our way to give back. I mean, it's all about changing the world.
The reason that they have been able to see things that other people haven't seen is because there is a tremendous vision for the future, but also passion to make it happen. That's something that you can't really train. You either have it or you don't. Jeff Broin and his team at Poet possess not only the knowledge and the skill, but they also have a passion. If you've got in life a passion to do something really significant for your state, your region, or your country, the sky really is the limit.
We're a part of a bigger picture, a bigger mission, a greater goal. It's a very worthy goal, and it's something that I think anyone can get behind in this day and age.
We got into this business to help farmers, to help the price of corn, and today we process 1 billion bushels of corn, which is about 7% of the U.S. corn crop. We have taken agriculture from a net loss to a very profitable industry that can now grow and provide the products we need and the raw materials we need to make more clean, green products for America and the world.
People always ask me, where do you see the company going? What's your goals? Where's your vision? How many gallons? How many plants? And I think those are all measurements, but that's not what we're about, because that doesn't create anything. What I see is an unending opportunity that continues to be evolving. For the last 100 years, everything has evolved around petroleum, and now we're the very first thing that's more competitive than petroleum, and with that, we can change the world.
The people at Poet don't just come to work every day to do our jobs. We come to work every day to change the world, and I think that truly has made a difference in how our people feel and how hard they work to make things happen.
The people make the business. We may have intellectual property, that's important. We may have plants and assets, and those are important. We may have capital and resources. Those are just tools, but it's the people that make a difference.
Doesn't matter what position you're in, what your title is, where you're at in an organizational chart, we are all part of this one Poet team. Don't think that just because I'm the president of the company or Jeff's the CEO or somebody else is a manager that they have better ideas. Some of the great things that we have in place today, some of the great innovations we have today came from somebody in the front lines.
20 years ago, Poet was a very quiet company. We often say we were flying below the radar. We have gone from a small family company to a large major corporation that's globally recognized in all different areas of the economy, the environment, the energy sector. It's been extremely exciting to be a part of it.
What is next for Poet's future? I continue to be surprised by the things that, if I look back, that we've been able to do and things that have come our way. What I do know is we're going to grow.
We are an innovative company that is on the leading edge of everything that happens in this industry. Poet is going to be involved in things that we aren't even thinking about today. We like to say it all the time, we're just getting started.
We've encountered times where it was tempting to throw in the towel. No question, the perseverance that we learned taught us to find a way. Poet has changed the world, but the biggest opportunity is yet ahead. It's going to take all of us pulling together, things that maybe I can't even envision today. But we will change the world through the power and the people at this company.